Fans of the Horus Heresy, thank you very much for joining me for Counter Tactics. And in this episode of Counter Tactics, we're going to consider how to deal with the Vultarax Stratos-Automata from the Mechanicum list if you are a Marine Legion player. So, the Vultarax is a recent addition to the Mechanicum Tagmata list, and it's the first flying monstrous creature to make an appearance in Horus Heresy. And monstrous creatures can be troublesome to deal with in general in the game of 30k. Couple that with flying, and yes, you've got a potential nasty on your hand. And if you watch my original video about the Vultarax, there are some quite potent applications of this, particularly in terms of anti-vehicle work, making use of the haywire capabilities of its arc gun. So I play both Mechanicum, but I also play Marine Legion as well. So I thought I'd share my initial thoughts with you about how I think the clever Marine Legion player can deal with the Vultarax, and some good units for doing so. So I'm going to run through a selection of options and explain what I think the pros and cons of those are, and why it's a good choice. So let's get into it. Okay, so idea number one is standard Mortis Dreadnoughts. So why standard Mortis Dreadnoughts and not our good old friend of Contemptor? Well, it's because they're cheap. They're only 125 points base, and they also have the option to mount hunter-killer missiles, a pair of hunter-killer missiles at a bargain basement 5 points each. So for 165 points, you can get a Mortis Dreadnought with two twin-link las cannons and two hunter-killer missiles. So that's actually 10 points cheaper than the Vultarax, and you've actually got some really potent firepower there to deal with it. So yeah, that's option one. Pros, cheap. It's a versatile unit as well. So if you knock out the Vultarax and you've got a Dreadnought that's good for fire support. Cons, well, it's only got 3 hull points, and there's a real risk that in strafing run number 1, this arc blaster knocks you out. So yeah, that's first option. Okay, second option. So let's stick some wings on it. The Lightning Fighter. So the Marine Legion can take Lightning Fighters in the fast attack slot. So my thought here was to stick 3 twin-link missile launchers on it, and then that couples up nicely with its twin-link las cannon. So for 210 points, you've got quite a formidably armed fighter for taking down the Vultarax. Pros and cons. Pros, obviously you've got a very fast-moving, hard-to-hit fighter, heavy armament. Cons, well, it's not particularly tough. And you've got the manoeuvrability issues to contend with as well. You're going to have to make short passes, and you'll be lucky to knock a Vultarax out in one pass. Okay, let's get back down on the dirt and think about tarantula sentry guns. So tarantula sentry gun batteries, you can have up to 3 guns, and you can also mount them with the Hyperios air defense missile launcher, and that's only 180 points, that is. So take that battery. It has the scout rule, so you can actually deploy it in such a way as to always keep the enemy Vultarax under fire, because a common tactic for a Vultarax might be for the Mechanicum player to use a Magos Dominus to use cyber-30 pals on it to allow it to double shoot, and what will happen is we'll dash forward, double shoot, and then they'll come back for a turn to hide out of the way. If you've got a Hyperios battery scouted in, you're more likely to be able to keep that robot under fire at all times. Okay, the next option, and I think this is one of the most solid choices of the lot, is the Xiphon Patent Interceptor. So yeah, the Xiphon, it's the ultimate space superiority fighter. It's got 2 twin-link las cannons, Space Marine crew, and it has its Xiphon rotary missile launcher as well. The reason why I think this is a particularly strong choice is the Xiphon rotary missile launcher has a terminal tracking rule which forces jink and cover saves to be re-rolled. So there you've got a really, a good way of, if the Vultarax does try to avoid your fire, you're mitigating its jink save quite nicely there. And obviously, you've got 2 strength 8 AP2 and 2 strength 9 AP2 weapons there, so a very effective fire. And if you can get past that jink save, you've got a decent chance of knocking it out in a couple of passes. Next option. Now this is actually, I think, this is one of my favourite ones, and perhaps a little bit unexpected, and that is using a Legion Heavy Support Squad. Legion Heavy Support Squad, how's that good? Right, so what you need to do is arm them all with missile launchers, flak missiles, and hardened armour. So the key thing is we give them hardened armour. The main damage output from the Vultarax against infantry is from its missile batteries, the Sethanon, I believe, Havoc launchers. If you've got hardened armour, you get to re-roll your armour saves against those. So your armour is more effective than Terminator armour normally is. You've only got a 1 in 9 chance of failing a save there. Now, the only problem with this option is it's 235 points to get 5 guys because of the ridiculous way the points values work for flak missiles and hardened armour, where you pay a single price for the whole squad regardless of the number of people in it. So this one, it probably works best if your opponent is using 2 or more Vultarax, because then for a mere 125 points you can increase your heavy support squad up to 10 guys. And then you've got 10 guys versus 2 Vultarax. And I think the advantage is yours because, as well as you got, strength 7 weapons, so the Vultarax has a flare shield. Strength 8, so the Vultarax has a flare shield, drops it down to strength 7. You're wounding on 4s, but it gets no armour save because it's only a 3+ save, and the crack missiles are AP3. So I think that's well worthy of consideration. And also it's a very versatile general battle unit. Heavy support Marines are with missile launchers. Next, fire up to gunship. Stick 4 Hellstrike missiles on it. The Reaper autocannon battery for 230 points. You've got a whole mass of firepower to throw at the Vultarax, and those autocannons allow you to keep it under fire while you're turning around and getting ready for another pass with your main bolt cannon armament. So yeah, I think that's a very potent choice as well, and and also a very versatile general purpose unit as well. And the autocannon batteries, one's always, you may not be able to bring them to bear, but because of their independent tracking rule, you can always attack units on the ground as well, or other flyers. Other options, so a bit of a kind of like cheap but tough to kill is a Whirlwind battery armed with Hyperios air defence missile launchers again. That's 225 points to 3. And it's only 3 shots, so you're not going to kill the Vultarax in a turn. However, it's going to take the Vultarax quite a while to knock out your Whirlwinds. And it's going to give it a bit of a Hobson's choice as to which to go for. Do you concentrate on the air defence threat, or do you focus on something more immediately threatening, say a Spartan? So there's another thought. And finally, we can't talk about air defence and the Space Marines without mentioning the Duradio pattern dreadnought. So I don't think the Duradio has an ideal weapon system, but it has got some useful ones that it's not got an ideal system to knock the Vultarax out in one fell swoop, but it's got some useful ones for keeping it harassed and wearing it down. So in terms of the main weapon battery, the plasma carronade is good because it's twin linked, so very accurate, ballistic skill 5 as well. Although it's only going to wound on a 5 or 6, the AP2 beats the armour, so it'll get no armour save. And then the other option is the Arachnus las cannon battery as well. So here you've given up the twin linking, so you're only shooting at, you've got your ballistic skill 5, so you're still really accurate. And strength 10, so you're going to wound on a 2 and ignore armor save, so that'll hit hard as well. So both of those will work well against the Vultarax. Then the other thing to not forget to take is the Aeolus missile battery. Now this is strength 6, dropping down to strength 5 because of the flare shield, which is I think probably the correct interpretation of the rule. But with 60 inches range and always being able to shoot at a different target to the main armament, the Vultarax is never safe from it. So you can keep up a constant harassing fire with 3 shots every turn on the Vultarax. And every time you get a 6 to wound, the Vultarax loses a wound because they're AP3 missile, so it won't get an armor save. So yeah, I think the radio is worthy of consideration as well. Yeah, so there's some ideas about how to deal with pesky Vultaraxes. I think as well, I mean, think about how you build your army as well. These guys are clearly, if you're a frequent user of Spartans, these are going to come straight after your Spartans, and it's not difficult to knock out a Spartan with the Vultarax. So is it worth taking the Spartan? I guess the other thing as well is to layer your air defences as well. So a Deradio Dreadnought is very useful as a direct fire unit as well. It's very useful as a direct fire unit as well, and if you couple that with, say, a Tarantula battery or the heavy sport marines, then you lay defences, and it makes it that bit harder for these guys to dominate. Anyway, so there you go, counter tactics against the Mechanicum Vultarax. I hope you found that interesting. Have you got any tactics to deal with the Vultarax? Yeah, let me know in the comments section. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. I will speak to you later, and goodbye.